Welcome to this session of Practical Data Analysis 1. What we are trying to do here is to see how, when you are given data, what you should really do. The first thing, you want to take a look at your data, and we are going to be using all what you see here. DF is your data frame. You can use head, tail, info, and so on and so forth. So we will use it in a practical way. So the first thing we want to do is to import data that is publicly available, and then you will see how we will use it so that you can replicate it. We will do it on a number of publicly available data sets so that you can go and do exactly the same thing. So I will be using this data set. It's the Titanic data. So if you go to this GitHub link, you can find the data. So generally, we'll put the URL, and then, well, before I do that, I'll just come and import certain things. So let's import the libraries we will be using. Import Panda as PD. The next one will import NumPy as NP. That's all we need. So we will now check if we can get this data. So I'll say df is, I'll use pd rate CSV. So we will use URL. So what will it do? So this function, which is inside Panda, because we are importing Panda, it's going to rate. Why are we using rate CSV? It's because you can see it's a CSV file. If it were another file type, we will use the file type here. So you could have copied this and pasted it here, but to make life easy, we just do it like that. So you could get rid of the URL and just put this thing, copy this thing, put it in here. But we just want it to look elegant. Then the next thing we can do is, well, I'll just leave it like that, and then we will start running each of the things you can see there. So let's go and see and make sure we have no issues. So you see it's connecting. Generally, the first time you run it, you may have issues. So let's see, what do we have? Import. Okay, I missed something here. So it's import NumPy. Hopefully you caught that earlier than me. Okay, now everything is fine. So now we can start exploring the data. So now we will simply call this inspecting your data. Okay. Inspect the data set. So you can see all the things we have here. We want to take a look at the first. So it says show first rows. So generally it's going to show the first 5 rows. We've put your data in DF. So data DF hit. And it's going to show you, you can see it's the first 5 rows. If you want to reduce the number, we can actually say show us 10, or let's say you want to increase the number, it will show you the first 10 rows. And you can also just say show me the first 2 rows, and that's it. But the default is that it's going to show you the first 5 rows. So if you put nothing here, you have the first 5 rows. And if you come here, tail will show you. So you can see it's 0 to, so this is, you have the first 5. If you do df tail, it's exactly the same thing, but it will show you the last 5. So you can see it goes from 0 to 890. It means you have a total of 891 data points. So that's what those two things are. Now, df info, it displays the information of the data types as it's stated here. So let's just run it. df info. So generally, when you take a data set, these are the first things you want to see. What is it telling you? So you can see that you have 14 columns. When we talk of columns, we mean you have this. These are the different columns. And these columns, what data types are contained in it. For example, here you have categorical data types. It means you have the male category, female category, and here you have numerical data type. So let's take a look. It will say survive. It's an integer. So here you have an integer. Sex is an object. So it's basically a string object. You can see it's a string data type. Here you have numerical or integer data type, and float is a numerical data type. It just means you have decimal space. Right. So age, you have 9.0.0.0. That is why you have that. If you take a look at fair, you will likely see something similar. It's also float. But where you have integer, you really don't have the decimals after it. So here you want to make sure you have the right data type. Why is it important? It's simply because if you are making calculations on object data types, you will end up having problems. So let's say you want to multiply data type, but it's object. It's important for you to change the data type before you run your analysis. So when you take a look, you want to make sure you have the right data type for future analysis, because at the end of the day, you want to analyze the data. Let's move on to df describe. So if you take a look, when you run df describe, it gives you some basic statistical analysis. For example, here you have the mean standard deviation, the minimum, the 25th percentile, 50th percentile, and here you have 75th percentile and the maximum. So we will, during another session, we are going to take a look at, when we are dealing with statistical analysis, we will revisit all of this. Now, you can see you don't have all the columns here. You can see here, we basically have 15 columns, and here we have just a few. Why do we have just a few? Because it can only do the calculation on numerical data types. Things like object, you won't see anything related to alive, embark, deck, because you are not dealing with numerical data type. That's the reason. Now, if we come here, the next one we have is the shape. The shape is also very important because it's going to, let's just say df shape. Now, for the shape, you really don't do things like that. Okay, it's important to note that. Now you can see it's telling you it has 891 rows and 15 columns. Okay, so if you come here, you have 15 columns and 891 rows. Why 891? Because it starts with 0. That's why you have 890, but in reality it's 891. Now, if you come here, you take a look at the columns. You want to see the variables which are part of your column. If you look here, okay, let's say you had 200 columns, difficult for you to see. It's a very useful function, as we will, well, it's a very useful thing. As we will move on, you will see how we use it. So if I run it, now you see the title of the different variables which are there: survive, p class, and so on. So it's important, just go online, read about the Titanic data set. That will help you really understand all of this. Those who survive, the class they were in, their biological sex, age, and so on and so forth. So let's continue here. We have the data type. Now the data type, you already have it when you do the info. Okay, here you have it, but it's just telling you you could as well have gotten it. So I'll do d types, run it, and now you can see it's giving you the data types. So it's another way of knowing the data type. However, you could just have used this. Now, when you use this, it's also showing you, when you use info, the number of non-null values. Okay, if you have less than the total, here you have 891, it means there's no really missing value here. But here you can see that some things are not there. Okay, it's not the 891. For example, if you take a look at age here, you can see that there is a missing value here. But things like survive, it's clear that there's no missing value here. So that will help you as you go along doing your analysis. So I generally use df info much more than I use the d type, but under certain unique circumstances I use it. Now df n unique, so you are counting the number of unique values, because when you have duplicate values it becomes an issue. You don't want to duplicate things, you only want unique data. For example, you don't want a student appearing 2 times on your list. No, you want, if you have 50 students, you want 50 names. However, at times there are mistakes, someone appears more than once, you don't want that. So let's run df n unique. So df, actually we could first do unique, and let's see what we have. So if you do unique, you end up having issues, so it has to be, so it's going to show you the unique values. For example, here you only have 2 unique values. Why 2 unique values? It's either you died or you survive. They had 3 different classes, 2 biological sex, you are male or you are female. They have 88 age categories, and so on and so forth. So you can see the embarked towns. So everyone on this data set came from 3 towns: alive or dead, alone or accompanied. So all of those things you can really, you can see what's there. So it's a very useful function. Let's come here. You have the df value count. So this, it's counting the frequency of the values. So let's do df value counts, and here we go. So at times hold on, I forgot to put that, sorry. Here we go. So it gives you something like this. However, we could put some adjustments in it to really make it look much more better. So the way to go about really using this in a way that is useful is to define what you really want to see. Let's say we want to examine the different class. So I'll just come here. I will use this to subset it. Okay, I'll just say P class. Then the analysis will be exclusively on that. If I run it, you can see you have 1, 2, these are the different classes, and you have the number of people who were here and so on. So you can do that to see it means of the 800 and I think 91 people, how many did we say we have there? 891. This is the distribution. You have 491 in the 3rd class, 216 in class 1, 184 in class 2. Now let me just copy and paste. If you now decide to, I'll say normalize, and I'll say true. Now here it's giving you the proportion. Actually, I could say times 100. Okay, it's telling you that basically 55% of all the passengers are here, 24% and 20%. If you add all of them, it should give you 100%. But if you want to look at the numbers, that's it. Now, these are the classes. It means if you change this to put something else, for example, you have sex, you could change what you have here into sex and then run it. You can see that you had 64% male, 35% female. Let's do the same here. And then it can even become more interesting if we add a second square bracket, put a comma, and then we see survived. We want to see the percentage of those who survive. Okay. So you can see the percentage 0, 1, survive, not survive, survive, not survive. You can run it like that and see what happens. So you can see the percentage of male, well, the number of male that did not, and the number that survived, the number of female that did not. And you can change it into percentage. So let me just copy this and put it here. So all these are initial things you want to do to take a look at your data set. Let me run it there, and here you can see in terms of percentages. So 9% did not survive, 26%, and so on and so forth. Okay, that is when you put everything together. However, you could actually make it, I think we'll leave it like that. Let me see, am I missing anything else? Yeah, we've taken a look at all of that. So in the next video, we are going to see how to start wrangling this data set. So here we've just done an inspection, a rapid inspection of the data set, and this same approach, we will see how to use it in another data set at another period.